But why don't we, Alan is recording us. Why don't we go ahead and start with you, Sherry, and then Nancy, we can head to you for a Ardsley update. Does that sound good?
Sure.
Great.
Okay, so hi, everybody. It's good to see everybody. So hopefully, I mean, George might pop in. We never know. But so typically what he likes to do is start with COVID and kind of go from there. So the numbers are coming down very quickly, which is great. I think right now we're probably at half of what we were a couple of weeks ago. I mean, it was about 18,000 active cases. But the good news is that even if people are testing positive, they're not necessarily not being hospitalized. There isn't serious complications for most people. So we still want to wear masks when we're inside, and we just gave out, we being the royal we, just arranged to give out 10,000 tests to local businesses through the chambers, and a lot of them have been picked up and some of them have been handed out, and I've been getting a lot of nice notes. So that's good. Basically, a lot of those tests were going to be allocated not necessarily to businesses. So I'm very happy that we were able to get those, and hopefully a lot of places won't even need them if we can come out of this. You know, from as some of you know, I was a contact tracer last year, and this was a crazy time then also. You know, it's the post-Thanksgiving, post-Christmas, post-New Year's, and when it starts getting cold. So I would just encourage everybody, if you feel, you know, if you think that you've been exposed, get tested. If you have not been boosted, get boosted. It is a lot easier to get the vaccines than certainly it was the first time around. Oh, I see me, so I wonder if that's George. No, yeah, he is. Okay, I'm gonna let him do the COVID thing and then I'll go back to the other stuff. Right on time, boss.
Very good. Good to see everybody. Appreciate the visit. I'll be very brief. COVID at this stage of the game is dropping. The Omicron variant has proven to be everything they said it was, which is highly contagious, but not as impactful if you are vaccinated. So while we've had a lot of people, come down with COVID, myself included, not the same degree of severity, but the wide numbers have caused there to be more hospitalizations. But we got as high as almost 700 hospitalized people. We're down now under 500. That number's dropping every day, and we're encouraged about that. The number of infections at one point was 36,000 in the county, which is a tremendous multiple. We're down now to 7,000. That's a huge drop, and that's all good news. From a business person standpoint, there's been a lot of back and forth about the mask mandate and what's happened in the court. I'll give you up to date 100 miles an hour. I'm not a lawyer, but sort of common understanding. A group of people in Nassau County sued and said that this was an unconstitutional mandate by the governor, and the judge, the Nassau County judge, agreed with them and said that the mask mandate was eliminated, was unconstitutional. Immediately, it's gone to appellate court, which is where it is now, and both sides are arguing before the appellate judges. I think they're going to reverse the lower court judge's opinion, but that's a personal opinion. And then most likely it'll get argued up at the top level of the state, which is the Court of Appeals. That's the next level up, and that's the final level of adjudication. So while all of the battle is going on in court, the mandate stays in place, so it still is in force. Keep in mind, as a county government, we have said that we implement the mask mandate, but I haven't said the magic words. We enforce the mask mandate, which means we are not going out giving tickets either to businesses or people, but we have, as Sherry and all of you know, we've tried to make masks easily available for those who have retail presence on the marketplace. Somebody comes into your store, it's there, but you have signage that says masks are required. Only when we have somebody who's willfully recalcitrant, not just the individual that just doesn't want to wear it. We're not going to get into fist fights with everybody. But when we have somebody who's willfully recalcitrant, who says, we will not do it, we think it's wrong, then we're going to deal with that kind of an argument. The mandate is a legal mandate, in my opinion. However, we're trying to get through a period of peak infection. When the peak infection is over, the mask mandate is going to be over. That's exactly what's going to happen. So a lot of this argument, and I don't want to insult anybody's politics, but a lot of this argument is more political than it is, actuality. It's how people feel philosophically about whether or not they should have to wear masks, whether it's a mandate, or even whether they think the disease is serious enough to warrant this. And that's all debatable. But as a business person, I think it's fair to say that within a few weeks, I expect, if not soon, I expect the mandate to be lifted on the merits. But I do expect the court will uphold the governor's right to have a mandate along these lines. And we will continue to help implement it, but we do not intend to fine people and take them to court and make a big mishigas out of it unless somebody is trying to make a point and thumbing their nose at us, in which case we'll deal with it on that basis. I do not expect any other mandates to come down the pike. I do not expect any closure of businesses as we had almost 2 years ago. We are not at that level of infection to warrant it. And no matter what some people may say, nobody on the philosophical spectrum wants that. Now, there are people that want us to have what New York City has for restaurants, which is a mandate. You have to be vaccinated to go inside. Individual businesses may choose to do that. I don't want to go into a long series of reasons why we don't think it's right in Westchester. We have a high vaccination rate. We are trying to get a higher percentage of people with the third shot vaccination. If we get that, that is the single most important thing, more important than any mandate that we can do. If we have about 90 some odd percent of our population with at least one shot, 80 some odd with two, we're much lower on the third shot. We get everybody, myself included, up to that third shot, then I think we're protecting ourselves against the infection, and we'll get back to normal, I think, in a reasonable amount of time. The weather has to help us out too. The worse the weather is, the more we're indoors, more we circulate it. But we just saw that the major basis of circulation of this disease is not in public settings. It's in private settings. It's what we do in our private homes with our family, with our friends. A bunch of guys come over to my house. Hey, let's watch the divisional round of the NFL. We're the one infecting each other. It's not happening out on Main Street when you're going from store to store and you're popping in a store. So we're going to try to fight it to the best of our ability, the disease to the best of our ability, and we're going to try to stay rational, not extreme on either end. We do not believe close everything down. We do not believe open everything up. There's no problem here. We're trying to say there's a problem. We're addressing it with some reasonable measures. Let's keep business going as well as we can, and let's show deference to each other. Somebody said to me, "Well, masks don't work." Well, let me ask you this: do you sneeze in somebody's face, or do you avoid sneezing in somebody's face? Why would you do that? Why would you cough in somebody's face? Because you know that you're going to convey germs from you to them if you do something that, it's an insulting thing if you did do it in real life. You turn away, you cough into your arm or sometimes your hand because you want to avoid spreading the most amount of germs. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to reduce the most amount of germs to have the least amount of COVID to get through the darn thing if we can. So that's sort of the COVID update at 100 miles an hour. I'm happy to answer any questions on that if you'd like, but I know there's other things to talk about, and I hate to dominate everything I say with COVID, just to give you an update on where we are.
We really appreciate your updates, George. We appreciate you coming, so you're not a burden at all. Any questions for George, and then we can go back to you, Sherry? I don't think so. Great.
Okay, that was very comprehensive. As long as I can
put him to sleep, Michelle, I'm good. Thank you.
One of the other, besides getting businesses what they need during this particular time, I'm also working very closely with my colleague Martha Lopez on a different initiative for MWBEs, and we'll be putting together a couple of different programs on that. So I'll have more news about that. And once again, working with the Disabilities Advisory Council, we will be putting together, I don't know if it'll be a webinar or something, or if we'll be able to do something in person, but it'll most likely be online, which will be an employer education session on the advantages and how to employ people with disabilities and what, why that's a good thing. And then also helping people with disabilities with employment issues to try to know about the organizations that exist within the county and the help that they can get. So those are a couple of different things that I'm working on. And once again, just trying to get the information out to the chambers and trying to be responsive to your needs, whether they be COVID related or not. And in my other hat, as a new trustee in Dobbs Ferry, I'm very thrilled that our new village administrator, Melissa Ferraro, is here too. And I think we have a really good opportunity with the two of us kind of being new together to really focus some efforts on the downtown Dobbs Ferry and what we can do to create new opportunities and kind of get some things done that have maybe been discussed, but not ever acted on. So I really want to hear from as many people as possible with ideas that you have or things you want to do, because Melissa and I are really excited to work together and to work with everybody here.
Great, thank you, Sherry. And we'll, I know you guys mentioned the tests, that's on our agenda. We'll fill everybody in on the tests a little bit later on. Any questions for Sherry before we move on to Nancy? No? Thanks for coming also, Melissa, and checking out what we're all about. So excited to meet you.
I was happy when Sherry invited me. I was glad to be here. So this is great. I like to get involved and find out what I can do and where we can go and support everybody as best I can. So happy to be here. Thank you.
Great. All right, well, I think that means we can move on to our Ardsley report. If you're all set, take it away, Nancy.
Hi, good evening, everybody. I'm Nancy Kabulian, the mayor of Ardsley, for those of you who may not know me. Melissa, congratulations. Welcome aboard. I look forward to meeting you at one of our VOC meetings. If they haven't told you about them, they're quite interesting, fun, and very collaborative. So the next one happens to be in Ardsley, so we look forward to having you here.
Thank you.
I appreciate the invitation to be before this group of entrepreneurs. I always appreciate the opportunity to be Ardsley's greatest cheerleader, which I believe I am. As you know, from what I have said over the past couple of months, the village has completed and adopted a comprehensive plan. It was a rather lengthy process. It is a document we are very proud of. And the next stages for that is now the implementation of it. We have retained Pace Land Use Law Center again to help us in developing the next steps of the implementation plan, which includes the developing of a downtown improvement and revitalization plan. That plan will include changes to our zoning, which is the land use, changes to the public realm and the improvements in the public spaces downtown, and changes to our infrastructure. One of the things we've been focusing on in this entire implementation plan and our downtown area is walkability. As you know, you all know that Ardsley has challenges because a state road runs through us. The sidewalks are broken up in places. It's hard to get from one shopping center to another, but we are trying to at least focus on the walkability of what most people refer to as sort of the downtown area, which is near Adams Square, and where Starbucks used to be in DeChico's area, so that we could create better parking and walkability in that area. So we're excited about that. There's going to be several zoning changes that we're making to do this. Those zoning changes are going to be coming before the board in the next month or so for our consideration. So this really is the next step in the comprehensive plan, and we're excited to get there. With that said, we have 3 new businesses in Ardsley. We have a new nail salon in Adams Square. We have a new restaurant in Adams Square, and we have a new art studio in Ardsley. So we're very excited that new businesses have come here. We still have some empty stores, and we know the challenges with brick and mortar stores. So we're looking forward to seeing some of those filled in the recent months. However, we also have seen the construction of 3 American Legion, which is the street that runs parallel to 9A. There was what used to be the Paul Anthony Building was bought by a doctor some years ago before COVID, and due to COVID, he had the inability to renovate the building the way he wanted. He's starting that renovation now. If you drive by, the outside of the building is being renovated. It looks very good. He plans on moving in, at least starting his business on 1 floor of that building soon. I understand he's interested in having a yoga studio there and other forms of healing and health, not just the doctor's office. So we're excited about that getting off the ground. The other big spot that we have in the middle of the downtown avenue is what we refer to as the old Westchester Garage, which is that abandoned gas station, has finally been sold. And so we have new owners on that building, and we are working with them on a multifaceted approach to occupancy of that building. They have long-term plans for renovating the building and short-term plans for utilizing the building as is, with a little bit of visual improvements to it. So actually, I think there's a lot of stuff going on in our downtown area. We're excited about it. We're excited about the comp plan. We think that the comp plan is helping attract businesses to the village, and we're really excited about that. So one other point of note that I'm going to say tonight, and I just learned this, is that the funeral procession for Officer Rivera is going to run through Ardsley tomorrow between 10 and 2 o'clock. So we have alerted the community, and we hope people will come out and pay their respects as his body is brought through the village. I am going to ask that the flags be lowered tomorrow in honor of his service to our state. Any questions?
No, very thorough. I think and I don't want to steal the I don't know what word I'm looking for, but I know in the Ardsley report, you guys, Connie, you guys could talk about this, but did you want to mention, because I think it's the last time you were here was before you hired the new village, I think it's manager, you call it in Ardsley, right? Did you want to
Yes.
mention him?
Oh, actually, thank you. I actually should have invited him tonight, and I didn't think to. So I will take that on me. Sherry, when I saw Melissa here, I was like, whoa, that was a good idea. So I will get him on the next time. Yes, I've introduced him so many times now, I've forgotten where I've introduced him and not introduced him. He is Joe Saratani. He came on board very late November. As you all know, Meredith left us May or so, and Charlene Indelicato was our interim village manager for 6 months, and Joe actually came from Hastings. He was the treasurer and clerk in Hastings, and we're very happy to have him on board. And I will make it a point to ask him to come on board the next time and introduce himself to all of you. I apologize for that oversight.
Sorry,
That's
not to throw
okay.
you on the spot.
No, you know what? That's okay.
I just mentioned it
quite all right.
because Heather and Connie and I had coffee with him to meet him, and we did invite him also, but he has a small child at home, so he needs a little more pre-planning,
Advance notice.
which is
Yeah.
totally fine. So
Yeah, he has a small child, and his wife actually works in White Plains Hospital. So there's always, I think, some where they try to get her so she gets home and cleaned up before she has interaction with the child. So yeah, but no, thank you for saying that. Absolutely. You're absolutely correct. I'm glad that you invited them and had the foresight to do that.
we were excited to learn that he was the treasurer in Hastings. I think that's a great setup for Ardsley for a broad perspective on how to implement the comprehensive plan and what role the village can play. So we're excited for you.
Yeah, well, I've been very focused on a long-term plan for the village of Ardsley. That's something that was my major focus when I came here, and with our financials. And over the past 4 years, we have increased our bond rating twice. So we have a very high bond rating. We are very fiscally sound, and he I think brings to the village that experience as being a treasurer, and the experience of working in a village substantially the same size. Hastings a little bit bigger as Ardsley, so we're excited to have him on board. This year, along with our comp plan, I'm also having an RFP put out for revitalization of all our parks and open spaces. So we are looking to do some major renovations in Pascone Park in the next year or 2 years. And we are looking at our, many of you know McDowell Park, which is the Little League Park, needs some love and care over there. So, and we're looking to see what we can do to improve that park overall for its usability. Accessibility and inclusiveness. I think it's something we need to be focusing on in our parks and our open spaces. So that's something I'm working on now too.
Great, thank you.
Wonderful.
Any questions for Mayor Kabulian? No? Okay.
Well, again, thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate the time, and I appreciate you inviting me.
Yes, of course. Thank you for coming. And you're welcome to stay as long as you want. We're going to talk a lot about our vision for 2022 at this meeting, but it will also be obviously recorded. So if anybody, wants to catch it after the meeting, you can also. So with those reports finished, we'll move to old business. The first item on the agenda is just a quick recap of our highlights from 2021. I want to point out a couple, but I also thought it would be nice to open it up in case anybody else has any highlights from things that the chamber did in 2021 that you thought were good, that we should carry on, or that you just, want to celebrate. I think to start from like the end of the year and work back, obviously the holiday trolley, which we did not think we were going to bring back. And we were lucky to have a member to step up and really take charge and plan that. And people really enjoyed it. And I'm really happy that Hudco and Christy were able to bring that back and have committed to doing it again next year. So we got a big jump on planning, and it's going to be, thank you, George. George's information is in the chat. So another highlight I would say is it was kind of more of a quiet thing that we did. Our minority-owned business committee put together sponsored some opportunities for businesses to work directly with TAP, which is an organization based in Scarsdale that works with businesses on all sorts of aspects relating to running their businesses. And the feedback that we got, especially Fabian, who's a very active chair and also does some work as a staff person for the chamber, was that it was very helpful and very useful. So we hope to kind of continue that this year, even though that's something that we didn't advertise very widely. And I think if I'm doing like top 3 from the year, I might have to point out our new social media things, which kind of happened towards the end of the year. We talked all year about starting to do these TikTok videos, trying to find someone to do these TikTok videos. We couldn't find anyone. We finally, decided to try to use an influencer to do it. And the whole experience was great. The videos are great. They're really nice features of our businesses. I think it's a great benefit for our businesses. It's catching, on social media. It gets people to pay attention to the chamber and see, what kind of businesses are involved in the chamber. And we also did a couple of Instagram takeovers, which actually I think happened in the new year, but we put it in motion last year, which got a lot of great feedback as well. So we're looking to continue those this year. Those would be, I would say my top 3 highlights from last year. if anybody else has anything you might want to chime in on, anything the chamber, go ahead, Sherry.
I
know what
really
you're gonna
love,
say.
I know, sorry. I really love the women's networking stuff. I think those are such great events. I was actually just talking about it with somebody. I mean, I wish that, I don't know if it was Melissa, but I wish we could go back to, having the big, fabulous, in-person events, but I really just want to commend Alyssa for really, and Kate for like putting together these really fun, I mean, this past couple of years for me have been incredibly stressful. And so it's nice to go to a meeting and be with a bunch of women and just have, yes, there's networking, and yes, there's always like an interesting topic, but I just always feel good afterwards. And so, yeah, thank you.
Anyone else? Highlights from the chamber? All right, great. Well, we'll move on to the second item under old business is I just reiterating, like we said last time, we have updated working membership requirements. So just for people who don't know, you can opt to pay to be a chamber member, or you can pay a 50% reduced rate if you're a working member. And in 2022, we've expanded the option. The only option was just to join a committee. We've expanded the options a bit. You can obviously join the board or committee. You can chair a committee. You can provide a venue for an in-person event, which I'll talk more about in new business, as we have some plans to have some more in-person events this year. And the other one is you could recruit 3 new members. We're going to set a pretty ambitious goal for getting new members this year. And that could be a way you could fulfill your working membership also. Any questions on working memberships from anyone? And if you do have questions, you can always email the chamber and Alan will put you in touch with Fabian, who's our person that handles dues and all of those kinds of questions. New business. We'll kick it off with the 2022 vision, though some of these items that are under here are really like more subsets of the vision. The vision is a summary for the year that just kind of gives us the big picture, more condensed as to what we want to do this year as a chamber. And the things that informed it were, the membership committee reevaluated our membership benefits. We took a look at budgeting. We took a look at what worked last year. Obviously, being, in the time of COVID, everything got reworked last year. So we took a look at what worked last year and talked about what we wanted to expand for this year. So I think Alan you put the PDF in the chat of the 2022 vision. If you guys want to pull that up and look at it as I run through it. I compared to last year, where it was like a lot more like smaller points, I tried to condense it to 3 main areas that we're focusing on, leading with focusing on our downtowns. There's a lot of talk about being more of a chamber of commerce that has brick and mortar businesses in addition to businesses that don't necessarily have a downtown presence, which is kind of how our chamber started. So focusing more on our downtowns and finding, providing benefits to businesses that are in the downtown, creating and maintaining a strong dialogue between the businesses and the local government obviously is a big part of that. Advocating for the downtown businesses on initiatives where we need to. A big thing that we're implementing this year is, which will shorten these meetings a little bit, is that we're kind of expanding out into smaller monthly virtual village chats that our village reps will lead. They're not necessarily meant to be a meeting with an agenda, though, we can certainly report important information in them, but they're also meant to be a way for the businesses themselves to connect to one another, for the chamber to hear from these businesses more directly. Hopefully them being virtual, we'll get some good attendance. We just had one in Hastings. We have one scheduled for Ardsley for next month, and the other 2 dates will be announced soon. And then also expanding the use of online forums. So again, getting at connecting with owners and hearing from business owners virtually through our online forums that are really specific to members, so they can feel comfortable to kind of talk about whatever they want to talk about. And then we as a chamber can say, give them guidance, for how we could deal with it, tell them, what's within our capabilities to support initiatives that they're interested in. And then lastly, under our focus on downtowns, we want to obviously drive residents and visitors to shop, dine, and utilize services locally. So we have a tourism and commerce committee that is focused on that, but also our events always have been in the past kind of geared to this, focusing on bringing people to downtown. So getting back into those kinds of events, expanding them, creating new ones. The second point would be to be a hub for resources and visibility, which I think we expanded really well last year with the help of Elizabeth, who served as a sort of interim executive director, and Alan, who took over as our executive assistant. Resources that the chamber can be for businesses are many things, a lot of different things. But what we're focusing on is maintaining our resource page that we put together, where instead of just sending out these emails and then the information goes out into the ether, it's also on our website on a page where you can find it whenever you need it. Obviously continuing with these newsletter emails that are very comprehensive. Alan and I are constantly scanning emails from everybody everywhere, and then condensing it into emails that make it relevant to our members. Supporting advocacy for state and federal businesses, federal business funding opportunities. I think that's something we saw in the pandemic, really the dynamic of it feels very out there and unapproachable, but now I think because of the pandemic, the state and the federal governments are focused on looking at small businesses and what they need. And so we can kind of rise up to that with advocacy for the things that we think are important. Expanded in-person and virtual networking opportunities. Like Sherry said, we have those great women's networking ones. We're looking to continue that and to bring back some of the in-person events. We're going to get ambitious this year. So hopefully we'll see you in person. A focus on creating more educational opportunities for members, and the feedback from the membership committee. One of the big things was looking at marketing, really focusing on educational opportunities that have to do with marketing and sharing tools for marketing, but also just kind of philosophically as a chamber and as businesses, finding opportunities to share eco-friendly or socially conscious educational opportunities as well. Expanding our woman-owned and minority-owned business workshops. We built in a lot of budget money for this. The next step to that is having a thriving committee. So I'll talk about that a little bit later. And then, like I mentioned before, we had facilitating TAP opportunities. Another organization that came up was WEDC, which specifically supports women-owned businesses. So the chamber is going to look into how we make those opportunities happen for our businesses. Is it sponsoring it? Is it just linking them up to the opportunities, making sure those opportunities happen? And then visibility as a chamber, to help visibility for our members includes things like more sponsorship opportunities and event hosting opportunities for businesses that find that useful. The community calendar that we established last year, we're looking to promote that to get more businesses to use it and get more people to pay attention to it by including a roundup in a chamber newsletter and on our chamber social media. So we're not charging anything for this. This is members can post their event or their promotion to this online calendar, and then we're going to take the next step and try to push that information out for the businesses. New social media initiatives for more frequent highlights of our members. I mentioned that in our highlights from 2021, where the staff and the board is excited to continue those initiatives for this year and kind of be a little more lively than just kind of the basic, picture social media posts. Encouraging new business ribbon cuttings. We started to do that last year as we felt more comfortable being in person, and I think it's a great benefit for a new member to come onto the chamber. So we're, as much as we can, actively encouraging new businesses to have ribbon cuttings that we can help facilitate. And then proactive maintenance of website listings. So in the past, if somebody signed up for the chamber, they would have to give us a picture and their website link and whatever information they wanted. And the people who are on our website are really only the businesses that follow through with that. So part of us kind of streamlining the dues process, which was, you know, multi-year project, and we're at a point with a staff member who's helping streamline this project, is that at the beginning of the year, we're going to know exactly, you know, who all of our members are, and we're going to just proactively get them on the website, not wait for them to give us information to get on the website, which will help for business referrals, again, as an added benefit for members. Last point for the vision is specific to us internally as an organization. It's important to note that we're all small business owners and volunteering our time to make this happen. So we have to think about, you know, and I think Nick, who's not on here, the previous president, and I heard a lot when we took over the chamber from Maggie, that from people who may have run the Hastings chamber or the Irvington chamber in the past, and how, you know, it never worked. And we think why that didn't work is because the chamber focused on these small business owners also running this organization. And it just wasn't a feasible way to continue it. If you look at the Sleepy Hollow and Tarrytown Chamber, they've been around for 100 years. They have an executive director. They have relationships with the villages that allow them to fundraise and you know, maintain a healthy budget as an organization. So a few points under here, you know, it's a combination of things that worked last year and things we may want to kind of increase this year, is establishing a fundraising committee to focus on some new sources of revenue. We were really lucky to get grants through the county last year, and obviously we can't continue to count on those. So we need to focus on some new sources of revenue. Significantly increasing our membership, which there's lots of room to do across the 4 villages. Establishing our signature events again, and then finding ways to use those events as fundraising tools rather than just a benefit to our members. Providing more structure and goals for committees so that it's easy to pass on knowledge and information, and just to kind of keep doing the things that work rather than recreating the wheel every single time we have new people coming in. And then adapting our staff roles that we established over the past couple of years to support a more active chamber with more in-person events. So that said, I think what I'm going to do is run through the next few points because it all kind of relates to this, and then open it up for any like questions or input, if that's okay with everybody. Just because if there's any questions, some of these next agenda items might answer that. So the second one is the member benefits update, which Alan can put a link on here to our website. We have updated the page on our website where you would go to join. We've updated it with our current member benefits. So we've brought back a lot of things that we put on pause because of the pandemic. Our membership committee, thanks to Fabian, took stock of what they were before and gave us input for what they think they should be going forward. And then the staff sat down and talked about what we felt like could feasibly happen with the staff time, like what we could reasonably follow through with. So I'm not going to detail these, but please take a look at them so you can see a lot of it informed the vision. So some of it's repetitive, but if there's any questions about why to join the chamber, this Join Us page is the place where you send people for that information. Hold on, what is next? Board members and committee chairs. Alan, if you can share the PDF of the descriptions. Again, I'm not going to run through this in detail, but this is our goal. This is what we want to fill out as a board. So there's the voting positions of president, vice president, treasurer, secretary, our village reps, and then the committee chairs, which are not voting positions. So committees being tourism and commerce, women owned, minority owned, membership, fundraising. And I will run through quickly just to let you guys know, we've been working on filling out these positions, but there are some openings. And we'll have to update our website with who the current chairs are. There's, I think, very few changes from last year, but the open positions are the vice president position. Is Kristen, you're on here, Kristen's on here, or I think she is. Kristen is actually going to be moving from Dobbs Ferry. And so we're looking for a second rep for Dobbs Ferry, though I think Alan, we might have a lead on that, right? Yeah, so maybe by next meeting, we'll have an announcement on that second rep. The big holes besides the vice president position are in chairs for the committees. So obviously we have Alyssa coming back for Women in Business, and we have the fabulous Fabian for the membership committee. We have some people who are interested in the tourism committee that are really helpful, useful people, but they don't want to chair it. So if anybody wants to chair it, you'll have a great committee. And in order for fundraising and minority-owned business committees to be successful, we need at least one chair on each to kind of direct and drive things. So putting it out there that we really have to fill out these positions if we are going to fulfill the vision for 2022. Let's see. I think we can wait to go into the budget. And I can open it up for questions at this point as far as member benefits, committee positions, the vision for the year, any questions or input on any of that? Going once, twice. Okay, great. You can always email us at the chamber if you're listening to this recording after the fact. Right. Our 2022 proposed budget, Alan, do you want to put do you have the PDF of that? We can put in the chat. I'm just going to open it up. So Dina and I worked to streamline this a little bit. Previously, our budget was like super detailed under each of these categories, and could be kind of confusing. So we've actually kind of separated areas out into tabs that will be their own budget. We'll also, like, we've condensed committee allowances here. We'll be better able to talk with committees about, what they can spend and what kind of income needs to come in through these separate side budgets. But this is a proposed budget, which actually has to be approved by the board. But we're sharing it here so that everybody can see what we have planned for the year. There is a little bit of year-to-date stuff in here, but we're really looking at this projected column, which is a surplus that we're carrying over from last year, which is reflective of the grant that we got from the county. We have to, I think, report by the end of March our spending of this. And just very quickly to remind you, we allocated the funds mainly to staff time, but also to marketing type initiatives. So that's really how we're going to be using that money, or what that money is going to go towards. Our projected membership dues for 2022 includes basically what we think we're going to collect. So we've invoiced a certain amount of dues, and we have a percentage of those dues that we think we're going to collect, and plus an amount that we're going to give to the membership committee as a goal. So all in 2022, old members and new members, we're hoping to take in $30,000 worth of dues. The fundraising areas here, these numbers are quite large, but the thing to point out is that they're all directly, or most of them are directly tied to initiatives under our committees. And whenever we plan an event, most of our events are ticketed. We put out calls for sponsorships. So whatever we are budgeting to spend on an event, our goal is always to break even. So these numbers reflect kind of the maximum amount that we could bring in, but that's also if we do actually do all of those events. So it's not to say that our year to date, will be these numbers this high. This is our goal for the year. So sponsorships, grants could encompass, it's kind of just a general line. It could encompass a number of things. Every year we talk about, asking the villages for money. will we do that this year? That could go under there. There's different things that the grants could be. Ticketed events, obviously, and other really is if we form a fundraising committee, is an opportunity to actually have a physical fundraising event. Is it a food festival, the Rivertown Public Market? Is it, you know, a new chamber event that is specifically focused, has a specific goal of fundraising for the chamber and will raise a high amount of money? So we're planning for that in there, and we'll see if it happens. There's some boring things in here on our expenses, like subscriptions and transaction fees. Membership dues has to do with things that the chamber is a member of, community donations, which are all just kind of numbers that have to happen for the chamber as a business or an organization. Administration and communication contractors are our staff that mainly deal with just keeping in contact with everyone and making everything happen that happens behind the scenes. And then we broke out social media and website contractors just so you could see what it costs just to have a social media presence. And this also includes us budgeting to continue those Reels and TikTok videos and hiring a content creator that will help us actually make those videos. So it's a higher number because we're actually really paying someone to create video content under there. Legal and professional, again, those are those numbers where we budget some money for any kind of legal help we might need. We have an accountant that we work with, so that's the line item there. Am I missing something else that's under there, Dina? Legal and professional? I feel like there's
just accounting, our CPA, our attorney, and no, that's it. Right?
okay.
Is there something else?
I thought there was a third thing that we
And
categorized.
now that you say it, well, what would it be? Hang on a second.
I'm gonna pull up.
I have it.
Okay.
Yeah. Drawing a complete blank. Oh, insurance.
Oh, right.
Yeah, we threw it in there.
Oh, that's the point I wanted to make, is that we've actually added into our plan for this year. So previously, if we were hosting like the Rivertown Public Market, we would take out a policy for alcohol coverage. It's less expensive to do it for the year than it is for individual events. So we've added that back into our plan for this year because we're hoping and planning for those kinds of events to come back. So we're covered in that
I
area.
think it was $400. So it really was not. It was a lot more for the event to event. It didn't make any sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Committee allowances. This, I will just detail this a little bit more for you guys. So this is the budget that we're going to give to the committees as far as what they can spend. But like I said before, a lot of this is tied to the concept of break even, whereas we're not going to put on an event unless there's also a plan for how we're going to recoup those costs. What do we need to get in sponsorship and tickets in order to cover those costs? So like if we're doing an in-person women's networking event, there's always a charge for that covers the food and drink and other things that might come along with that event. So we're not tapping into membership dues to do those kinds of things. I'm going to get to my tab on here for those. I'm briefly going to run through membership. This includes things like their budget includes things like the general meetings that we're going to try to bring back to a few in person, member recruitment initiatives, business development projects that would service the whole chamber as opposed to just women or minority owned. It doesn't include social media projects. Women in business, this includes both their in-person and virtual networking events. It allocates a certain amount that we might want to spend on business development initiatives, like sponsoring a WEDC kind of partnership. Same thing for minority-owned business. They have an equal budget in here so that they can plan an equal amount of in-person networking business development projects as women in networking. And then under tourism and commerce, we've actually included the trolley budget for the holiday trolley under their budget. There's room to expand. Obviously here, there's room to spend more. And then obviously take in more in sponsorship and ticketed events if we wanted to add more events like that into the year. This is just the goal for the year, the bottom line. Supplies, office expenses, executive expenses is a little bit more this year. We plan to have some in-person board meetings, and we also have a line item for board recognition. So just things that come up here and there to kind of motivate the board and the chair, or help to rally us to spend all the time that we do on the chamber. We allocate a little bit of funds for that to kind of motivate and bring us together, as a board and chair community. And that's it, basically. So you can see that we're like, it's very tight. There's, $87 left over if the budget were to play out exactly like this. And year to date, we're ahead. So you see that Dina's put in numbers that we're at year to date, and we're ahead $20,000. But that number, is going to fluctuate all throughout the year, depending on where we're at. So any budget questions, especially because it's proposed and it has to be approved by the board? Is there any input or questions on the budget for this year?
I just wanted to point out that, what you said, Michelle, about us being in a surplus right now. I mean, in general, we get the majority of the existing members pay in the first few weeks of the year. So I feel like we got all the money or all the dues that were going to be paid, not all of them, but a whole bunch of them were already paid, but we haven't really spent anything. So that I don't want that number to mislead anyone to figure that we're doing grand, no, not yet. We need more members to, because we have the receivables right now, the outstanding receivables, and there's a lot of massaging to be done because 2020 and 2021 were such anomalies that we don't have a really good grip on what our real paid membership position would have been, because we allowed members, and in 2020 and 2021 to opt out of dues. Not everyone did, but most people did. However, those folks are still listed as existing prospective members. So I have to go by that AR number in QuickBooks, which is 50,000. And I feel like that is, not, it's what it is, but we're allowing for a percentage that might be paid throughout the year. And we did a very conservative projection on that. We did a conservative 15%. I think we should get that. We should hopefully even get even better. But we just don't have, as robust information as we would in a normal world. So I just wanted to pipe in with that. So in case you have, if you're wondering how we arrived at that $30,000, it was some calculating done.
Any questions? No? Okay. A couple quick things, and then we'll go into our reports. And I also noticed, I know, Alyssa, you put the date in here for Women's Networking. I'm sorry, we're very wrapped up in budget and vision, and we missed putting a line in here for the Women's Networking event. So if you want to just...
Hey, Sherry did. So, she's my greatest cheerleader.
Right, yeah, so we can't miss it even if we try. So do you want to just mention really quickly, February 17th, it's going to be with
Becca?
Go ahead.
You want to give a rundown?
Yeah, sorry. It's going to be with Becca from Bar 3. So come prepared to move. Usually we eat or chat or stuff. This is comfortable clothes, moving, but not too strenuous. So it's going to be fun. We're going to have a lot of interactive networking and great prompts. And it's called Setting an Intention Through Movement. So it's going to be not super zen, but very much in the moment and figuring out what you want to do for 2022, but also having a tremendous amount of fun.
Great.
And it's from 6:30 to 8. And please register.
The link is in the chat. Thank you, Alan. The only other kind of chamber-wide event that we have to announce is now this is the third date that was announced. I think they had some construction setbacks. Look, Dine-In Cinemas, which is where it's escaping me what it used to be called. It was the similar concept in Rivertown Square. It's a restaurant and a movie theater. Their ribbon cutting is going to be February 10th at 6 p.m. We just picked the movies that they're going to play. This is a very big ribbon cutting. I mean, they're a corporate member. They have locations across the country. They want to do a big to-do. So there'll be a cocktail hour from 6 to 7. With the ribbon cutting and speeches, and then they're inviting everyone to stay for movies. So there will be a link that we're going to share for people to register. It's free to register, and bring your friends, bring your family. This isn't just a chamber event, and they would, the old iPic movie theater. Thank you for that, Alan. It's going to be a lot of fun. So look out for that in the emails and on the website. We'll post the link when we have that registration link. The other point before we go to reports is that, like Sherry mentioned, the county provided rapid tests. I want to go back. Nick has his hand raised. Did you have something about look?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention to those of you that don't want to necessarily commit to a full movie, because there are going to be movies showing. I did have one person ask if they were, if they could just come by for the ribbon cutting. And my understanding is the ribbon cutting is going to be from, and excuse me if I get it wrong, but I think it's 6:45 to 7. So if, it's only 15 minutes, come by, support, and it should be a good time. And if you can stay for a movie, even better. We're going to be showing Spider-Man, and the other two are Death on the Nile, and I want to say is it Moon something? I don't know. But I tried to pick we tried to pick 3 that were all different genres, and hopefully help hit every demographic. So there's something for younger audiences, older, and more serious films, more whimsical films. It should be great.
Great. Yes, good point. So 6 to about 6:45 is going to be networking cocktail hour. 6:45 we'll do the ribbon cutting, and then everybody will go into movie theaters if they want to stay for a movie afterwards. So heading on to reports. So like I mentioned before, we're doing these separate chats, and I've streamlined the report section a little bit so that we're not so heavy on the report section anymore in our main meetings. So we could start with treasurer, which I know, Dina, you have just a couple of housekeeping things that you want to report.
Michelle, you wanted to talk about the rapid test before Nick.
Oh, shoot.
Chimed in.
Sorry. Thank you. The rapid tests are, we collected them. We have a couple of locations that are willing to distribute. So the process for that is going to be that you email the chamber, you let us know what your business is and where your business is located, and then we will give you the location to pick up the tests. For now, we are allocating 4 boxes per business. Each box contains 2 tests. We'll give that about a week and see where we're at. If we're out of tests, great. If we're not, we'll figure out, how to get you more tests. When we send you the location, it's not necessarily a reservation for a certain amount of tests. It's just that we want to try to make sure we closely monitor, how many people are interested and how many tests are going out. So Alan will let you know where you can pick up the test, but the idea is to really pick it up as soon as possible, because it will be first come, first served at the locations for pickup. Any questions about the tests? And the idea is, I think you might have mentioned, Sherry, is that this is really for employees. It's for businesses to use for their employees if they're short on a test and they think they were exposed or they might have symptoms, so they have access to something right away. Obviously there's other ways to get tests now, and this is a great supplement for that. I think one caveat that we as a chamber implemented is you do not have to be a member, but this is specifically, we're offering this specifically to businesses with a physical location in each of our 4 villages, Hastings, Dobbs Ferry, Irvington, Ardsley, that also interact with customers. So we've limited it to that kind of sphere, and Alan is going to send out an email. Actually, I think, do you have the PDF of the notification that I created. He'll put that in the chat, which kind of details all of this information, but there'll be an email about it. It'll be on our social media. We'll be sharing it with the villages so that they can share it with people who aren't members or aren't on our email list. So Alan will put that in the chat while I move on to reports. Dina, did you want to talk anything more about, you kind of talked about it, about dues?
Yeah, I think you pretty much covered everything, Michelle, because I was looking at, the highlights of what we wanted to discuss. But I do want to open, if people have had an opportunity to think about it, any questions that you might have, anything before we go to the board for approval, you can even just email and let me know, oh, this, what was this number? Where did it come from? Because there's a lot of supporting documentation for each one of these line items that would have just become really cumbersome to share with everybody tonight, but it's there and I can get it to you. And if anyone has questions now, please, just raise your hand and I can answer it to the best of my ability.
No. Okay.
I think you covered everything. Thank you.
Committee reports. So I've narrowed this down to committees, and it will just be committees that we have chairs for. So like I said, we need some more chairs for committees, but so far, membership, is Fabian, I gotta look, is she still on? Does she want to report anything? I think we might have lost her. I don't think that membership has anything specific to report for this meeting. And then Alyssa, for Women in Business, did you want to say anything else beyond your upcoming event?
No, other than we're always looking for good ideas. I'm planning through 2022. As Michelle said, we're going to do a lot of virtual, but we're also hoping to go in person. So as many of the wonderful ideas that I have, I'm always looking for more. So if you know good women speakers who are women-owned businesses, whether they're independent contractors or own a physical storefront or would be a good speaker, I'm happy to feature them.
Great, thank you. So moving on to village reports, I know Alan already kind of detailed this with you guys, but I'll recap. We're changing how we're doing these reports, the village representative reports, because they'll be diving into things in more detail in their chats, will be a little bit more specific. It should directly relate to the physical downtown areas or areas where, the village has brick and mortar businesses. It could be a notification of events happening in those areas or impacts like to parking or roadways for those types of businesses, or advocacy efforts that need support, or if the village has asked for input from us specifically, this would be the time to say it. Things that we used to share here in the past, like community announcements, announcements or requests from donations for events that are not in the downtown area, or things that our member businesses are doing as events, we've broken out to go later on in the agenda. So these reports will now really be specific to physical locations and anything we might have to report relating to that. So that said, I know Ardsley is pretty much covered, but if you guys, Heather and Connie, wanted to say anything else about the meeting with Joe, now's your moment. I stole your thunder a little bit earlier. Anything?
I don't really have much to add now. I think he's a super nice guy, seems willing to work with us, and hopefully we talked a little bit about a possible event. So we can talk more about that, but Connie, do you want to add anything?
Other than, what Nancy even said, I think the capital improvement, the plan that's going to, be implemented over the next year or two will really help us to bring more activity to the downtown area. I think that's their goal, and it will benefit us. And just to be able to have started a dialogue early on with Joe, I think is a good thing. So.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Dobbs Ferry, and Patty is not on here. Kristen, do you want to say anything in your departure of the role?
Oh, you're making me sad. Yeah, my update was that you covered it, was that Lux Cinema actually appears to be really opening despite rumors, community rumors to the contrary. But yeah, as Michelle said, I'm not just moving on from Dobbs Ferry, I'm leaving New York. Actually, I'm moving to California, but I really enjoyed being a part of the chamber and certainly a lot of advocacy for the restaurants downtown, especially this last year. So thank you all.
Thank you for your time, Kristen, and good luck. Have fun in California.
I'll be back to visit because I cannot stay away from the St. George's, you know.
Thank you. Hastings, anything to report in Hastings? Joanna's here. I don't see Ellen. You want to talk about?
Hi. Yeah. Hi. Well, we had that great Hastings wide Zoom meeting on Monday with members of the downtown business community led by Ellen and Barb. It was pretty thorough as far as looking ahead this year to some downtown improvement projects that are coming up, including sidewalks that'll be replaced and how those will be impacting the abutting businesses. They are planning a number of events for 2022, all of which were shared with the downtown businesses in an email pending approval so that we can start to make our own internal plans and hop on board. We have, I believe, 7 storefronts in the downtown seeking new tenants, and 4 in various stages of transformation to a new business. 2 quick examples are the former owner of Purple will open a creative consignment later this year, and a new art gallery will be opening this spring in the former dry cleaning space that is next to Penny Lick Ice Cream Company. So all of that is happy news. Some sad news was that the owner of Taim Falafel Shack, Florencio Salazar, passed away of COVID earlier this month, but his children are committed to honoring his memory by continuing to run the shop. So you can show your support by patronizing their business for delicious hummus and salads.
My favorite thing at Taim is they have a falafel wrap, and I think I get the spicy one, or I like the roasted pepper hummus or something. It is excellent. Great pickles. It's like very fresh and crunchy and like all the things. Very well seasoned. So definitely go to Taim and experience that and support them. Thank you for the report, Joanna. Irvington. Oh, there was a question. Do you remember, Janet wants to know how many, because I think they're planning for theirs, how many people attended the Hastings? I don't remember.
Do I have that
Kate,
still
do you
open?
remember?
Let's see.
I don't.
I feel like we had, I'm thinking of like how many Zoom lines we had. We had like,
I'm
30
sure
or
Barb
40.
could tell you. I'm sure Barb knows.
Yeah. It was a good turnout, but also Barb is a downtown advocate in Hastings whose job is specifically to be in touch with businesses. And so she's constantly emailing people and has their direct contact. So, we'll see what kind of response we get. I think we'll still in the other villages may have to build up to awareness and having businesses attend compared to Hastings, but
It looks like we had 11 in attendance. I think that we might have had more had it not been at 9 a.m., which was a good time for me, but I don't know about some of the other businesses.
Okay. Good times. Well, do we want to move on to you guys in Irvington? Anything specific you want to report? I know it's a quiet time of year.
Yeah, so thank you. Yeah, Stacy and I are going to connect here and use this a little bit more as a catalyst. And we met with Michelle last week as far as Irvington and reaching out. And I think too, I was going to ask earlier, Michelle, and I know we've talked about it at our meeting, but just the list of businesses in Irvington, like so many businesses aren't necessarily storefronts, and we have the Trent Building and we have Bridge Street Properties, and there's so many businesses in there that, even being as local as we are, as local gets, like we just don't know all of them. So whatever list we have, and obviously knowing that a lot of our members don't take advantage of the website will be really helpful. And then Stacy and I will also get together and touch base with Brian and the Board of Trustees and all that good stuff with the village. So we're on it, right, Stacy?
On it. It's a whole, it's a new way to think about it from last year. I mean, I think businesses are, looking for that, especially in Irvington. So trying to be there for them.
Yeah, and I'm also going to get on the Ardsley one. So I saw the Ardsley invitation go out because I'm with Houlihan Lawrence and Ardsley, of course, as well. And so I'll have that as a basis too. But we'll get together with Alan and get our date together for the Irvington.
Great.
I just wanted to add that from a county perspective, when the pandemic, was probably 6 months in or whatever, our Office of Economic Development and our director would get phone calls all the time, like, how many businesses have closed in Westchester? And she's just like, I have no clue, because even the municipalities don't really know and don't really have that. I think that Hastings, was a brilliant move to hire Barb and to have somebody who's, focused on that. And I will be pushing for that in Dobbs Ferry. Also because it's just not something that the way that a lot of these municipal governments are set up, and even how they interact with the county, that just isn't information that anybody really just has. And if they have it, it's not necessarily digitized, so you can easily share. So I think it's great that you're doing these village specific things, because we may have to rely on more of a grassroots effort of collating all this information and maybe then bringing that information to the municipality, itself.
I feel like I recall that maybe it was you that mentioned it, Sherry, that Ardsley was also talking about the whole having an advocate. That might have been part of their.
I think that they're looking to focus on it. So I think that is, Hastings really was early on, and that's because they did their comprehensive plan a while back. I mean, that's and I think Ellen Hendricks was instrumental in that years ago, and so they have kind of a jump start. And you can tell when you walk through Hastings, there's very few vacancies compared to some other places. So I'm going to do what I can.
Great. And to answer your question, Alan pointed out, we're always throwing around Rivertown Public Market. I did throw it around with Barb a little bit. Maybe we can. Irvington has a beautiful new park, so it's always kind of out there. We want to do it, but when and how is the question. All right, so moving on from reports, just our last two little things. Any members have announcements about their businesses or events they're holding specifically? Now would be the time for that. No. And obviously reps can, if there's something you really want to share that somebody's doing this, you could share for them. Joanna, go ahead.
Well, I wasn't aware of the Look Theater's ribbon cutting that's coming up, but on the same night, we are planning to have a Love Yourself Wellness gathering at the Goodrich Coffee Bar. I'll be hosting a couple of other local female business owners, including Nicole Miziolik of Chi Acupuncture, Lisa Barner, who is a Hudson Valley seer, and Dawn Allen from Irvington, who is a private masseuse, and they'll all be giving mini treatments inside the Goodrich for a number of hours, so people can come in and restore themselves, have some nice beverages and treats, and go on to Valentine's Day weekend.
Great. Any other members? You got stuff happening? Okay, and then community announcements. This is where we would, we will make announcements for events like, the PTA or whatever needs is asking for donations or anything not necessarily related to downtown. Sherry?
Yes, I just want to say that last night at the Dobbs Ferry board meeting, we did unanimously and enthusiastically endorse that Dobbs Ferry will be the host of Pride, the Intervillage Pride Rally / celebration at the end of June, which it was in Tarrytown last year, but it will be at the Dobbs waterfront. So we'll be seeing things. So I think that would be also an opportunity for the chamber to sponsor or partner. There's going to be lots of organizations, and they're really looking to put forward LGBTQIA voices and things like that. So it's not going to be a bunch of politicians making speeches and things like that. So I think the tentative date, and they're still in the permit process, will be like June 25th or something like that. And we're also working with Children's Village on Juneteenth celebration at Children's Village. It's a great opportunity if you haven't been there to check it out. It was an incredible event last year. They had speakers and performances and food, and it was really lovely. So that will probably be June 17th, but as soon as I have information about that, I'll share it.
Great. And Hastings didn't, I think we can announce that actually, because that's this year's budget, right, Joanna, that they're doing their
Yes.
June Friday Night Live, which I think is the first Friday in June.
It'll
gonna
be Friday Night Pride, and it is scheduled for June 3rd. So yes, that'll be a Hastings-wide celebration of Pride, and we're hoping that all of the businesses will participate. If anyone is on this call still from Hastings, I can put you in touch with the organizers.
Great. All right, so if there aren't any other announcements, we're at 8:15 again. I wanted to keep us in that hour, but we had a lot to kick off the year, and I think that the way that we've restructured things will keep these meetings a little bit shorter in the future. And also what that will do is allow for more networking time when we get back to in person, which I know people really loved, and we'll pick some fun restaurants to have that at. Nick, you have your hand raised.
Hey, so I didn't know when excuse me, when else to mention this, but we are still looking to have people participate in our Instagram takeovers. So if anyone is interested, please reach out to anyone in the chamber. Will get you to the right place. So reach out to anyone on the board. And if you're curious more about what that means, what that looks like, please let me know, and I can send you examples, or we can talk separately.
Thank you. Yeah, Alan is our air traffic controller, so you can always just email info@Rivertown's Chamber, and he knows who's doing what, and we'll get you in touch with the right person. All right. Thank you, guys. Great January meeting.
Night.
We'll see you later.
Take care.
Thank you, you
everyone.
guys. Have a good night.
Take
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.